Greetings, Bat Family, and welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. You can visit our website, holybatcast.com, or find us all over social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast, you'll find us. If you're a big fan of the show and you want to support us, you can do that on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. And as always, a big old thank you to our patrons. You guys are amazing. You make our lives so much easier. And the great thing is, like, you don't have to do it. A lot of people don't do it, but you guys do it. And that's what makes you so special. So thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. Our patrons are the best. We're part of the Real Fans Podcast Network. You can check out all those shows at rf4rm.com. And as always, I'm your Bat host, Andy DiGenova. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, or Letterboxd. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. This episode, it's been a while since we've done some news talk. And we've had quite a bit of news this week. We got a new Batman show, or Batman-ish show, in Gotham Knights. We have news about Superman, and what else? Ben Affleck did a very revealing interview. We got toys for The Flash. There's all kinds of fun DC news to talk about. We're going to talk about all of it, and then we're going to review the next episode of The Batman. Joining me for all that fun, you know him, you love him, well, you know him. It's Brendan Lowe.
Hello. How you doing?
Most of us love you.
Look, you do, and that's the main thing.
It really is. You know what? If you can go to your grave knowing that one person truly loved you for who you are, and that's me, then you've lived a good life.
I can die happy, and that's without even, physically being with you.
Will we ever actually meet? I don't know.
The world will move on its axis if we do. We will. Of course we will. We will one day. We have to.
I don't know, man. It's real far.
These kids are holding us back.
I know, and these rotten kids are so expensive, so I don't know. But welcome back.
It's good to be back. Yeah, it's been a fortnight or so.
Yeah, I'm glad you've gotten over your jealousy of Catherine.
I think we've recorded since then, though.
We did record it, but she was very amused by your jealousy.
As long as the bitch knows a place, that's all.
So, welcome back. What do we do first? First, let me give a shout out to our pals at Manscaped. Let's get that out of the way, and then we got some other stuff to talk about. So where is my Manscaped info? Because they are nice enough to sponsor the show, and so I want to let you guys know about the great stuff they got.
2 or 3 days ago, too.
Did you? What'd you get?
I did. Some more deodorant and the body wash.
I need to ask for some more deodorant because I'm on my last stick.
The body wash is awesome.
It is.
I haven't even started the ad yet, but the body wash is awesome. I got some different body wash for Christmas that I'm like working my way through because I obviously don't want it to just sit there. So it's been a little while without the Manscaped stuff. And honestly, the other stuff it's an expensive brand, but it's not as good.
I know it is. I have gone through something very similar as I was trying to get through the world's biggest jug of shampoo that I bought like a year ago. And I finally did it this week, and so I can dive into my Manscaped shampoo, and I'm irrationally excited about that. First of all, because I love removing the clutter of the big old shampoo bottle that I've been trying to get through, and also this Manscaped one's been sitting there staring me in the face, and I have used it on occasion, but I'm like, no, got to get rid of the other one, and so now I'm excited I can start using it all the time.
And I'm not just saying that because they sponsor the show. It's the body wash is amazing, and you only need I only got the one bottle that they sent to us.
Yeah.
And I mean, it lasted forever because you don't need very much. It lathers up so well. And as these other expensive ones, I'm using triple the amount per shower.
Wow.
Because it just doesn't lather up as well. The Manscaped
the more
stuff
you know.
Is really good.
That's good. Well, I got to tell you, I'm not supposed to talk about it until April, but I don't think they'll mind. Is there's something coming in April, and I'm excited about it. It's so stupid. I'm so dumb that I'm excited about it, but it's it's a new trimmer, but it's purple and black.
Okay.
And it looks like it glows purple, and I'm like, that is the coolest damn thing I've ever seen, because we've already talked about how good their trimmers are anyway. My trimmer, I've had it a while, and so I'm kind of excited to get the purple one. Yeah, it's this really cool glowy purple one. It looks like Mace Windu's lightsaber, but it's a trimmer.
A Joker trimmer.
Yeah, or a Joker. That's actually probably more appropriate.
On brand.
Yeah, good call. So anyway, You'll hear more about that next month. But in the meantime, here's what they want you to know. This is a public service announcement. Manscaped now has beard products and is going even further with their brand new Weed Whacker 2.0. Go ahead and tell the world the leaders in below the waist grooming are traveling north of your South Pole with their revolutionary grooming products. The new Weed Whacker 2.0 and the new beard line confirms they have all the best tools for your hygiene toolbox. Time for you to upgrade your game by going to manscaped.com and using our promo code BATSCAPED for 20% off plus free shipping. That's BATSCAPED for 20% off and free shipping. I just said it. I'll say it again. Their trimmer is the best I've ever tried. I don't think you will be disappointed. Invest in one. If you do trimming, invest in a nice one. You're worth it. You know what? It ain't worth bleeding over. And the weed whackers that they have are amazing, and I love it. And I'm excited about the purple one that's coming out. So go to manscaped.com, do a little shopping. You just heard from us. The shampoo, the body wash, the deodorant, the ball deodorant, the ball toner, the beard products. All these are good stuff, and you can buy those and get your 20% off and free shipping with Batscaped. So please go give them a look, do a little shopping, and use that promo code BATSCAPED, because that way, not only do you save the money, you're also supporting Holy BatCast in the process, and that means a lot to us. So please, thank you. Please and thank you. Yeah.
What I did.
Good stuff. All right. Well, the other thing, I want to get a little housekeeping out of the way before we get to the news, because you're probably listening to this and you're like, there's a new DC movie out, and you guys are giving me a news episode? What the hell, man? And that's fair. I think that's a completely fair reaction. If you listened to the last episode, I did warn you, but maybe you didn't. Maybe you're jumping in for this one. Here's the thing. I'm home alone this weekend. I'm like Kevin McAllister. I'm eating rubbish and watching trash. What is that what he says? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, I'm watching Angels with Dirty Faces with a big bowl of ice cream. But I'm home alone this weekend because Catherine is in California doing some family stuff, and she really, really wants to see Shazam. And so I told her I would wait until she got back into town and we would go see it together next week. So if you're like, how is there not a Shazam episode? It's coming. I promise you it's coming. We're not going to get to see it till this week. And I hope to at least get an immediate reaction out there onto the feed once we see it. And then we will next week, circle the wagons and do the official review for Shazam Fury of the Gods. So wanted to get that out of the way because you're probably wondering where the heck it is. That's where it is. But Brendan has already seen it.
I've seen it. I saw it yesterday.
So I don't know if you want to give a quick reaction. I mean, don't give it away because, don't give it all away because we're going to do a whole episode. But if you want to give a quick little reaction just to tide people over, that would be good.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I really, really liked it. I was a bit concerned during, say, maybe the first third. I was like, I don't know if I'm liking this like nearly as much as the first one. But as it went on, it just kept getting better and better and better. And by the end of it, I was in hook, line, and sinker, and I loved it. I don't know for me if it's quite as good as the first one, but it's very, very minimal, the difference between the two. It's not like a big whiplash in terms of the type of movie as, say, Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I know it's not perfect, but I like Wonder Woman 84, but yeah, really good. And it looks amazing for a movie that only had $100 million budget. My God, like it's all on the screen. It's really, yeah, it's a really fun and funny time at the movies, which is, I mean, it's what you want from a Shazam movie. It's not meant to be Zack Snyder's Justice League, and it's not. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. It's really fun. I had a great time, and I don't know if I will get to, but I would love to go and see it again at the cinema before we record, or just in general. But yeah, I don't know if I'll get there, but loved it. Thought it was really good.
Awesome. Well, you should go. You should go again.
I'd like to.
Try to make that happen. Well, that's good to hear. I mean, honestly, from everyone I know, everyone I trust, they all liked it to loved it. So I'm not really concerned about it. I can't wait to see it. But yeah, it's kind of killing me waiting for a couple extra days. But you know what? The things you do for love.
Well, I wouldn't make you wait. Just saying.
All right. Hold on. Let me put a point down in your column. I actually have a tally sheet that I keep here at my desk at all times because you never know when important information might come to light. So I think you just pulled into the lead.
I'm not
sorry.
Not
Sorry,
all,
Catherine. All right. Well, I can't wait to see it next week. We'll talk about it, and again, I think after Catherine and I see it, we'll give an immediate reaction when that happens. But now let's get into some news. We got some fun stuff to talk about. The first thing is that we got the premiere of a new Batman-ish TV show, Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights came out this week, and here's what I love about Gotham Knights coming out is we're chatting with our friends, and you go, dude, I'm not even watching it. And I said, oh, yes, you are. Because I want to talk about it. And so we both watched Gotham Knights in the past couple days. But
you say that.
You didn't finish it, did you?
No, I tapped out at the 30-minute mark, and I said I'm not. I've seen enough to talk about it on the show. I'm not going back to watch that last 10 or so minutes for the show or ever. Sorry to bury the lead on what I thought.
Well, there you have it. I mean, initially I thought that would be the episode is Gotham Knights because it's a show set in Batman's world, and I do feel like we should cover it, but I do think that we are seeing eye to eye on it. I didn't love it. I did finish it though, so I get an extra bonus point that you didn't. I will say watch like the last minute.
Okay.
Because there's one cool thing in like the last minute that's worth seeing.
Okay. I'll take your word for it, and I'll
maybe you can YouTube it or something. I don't know, but there's
I can stream it on binge here, so I'll just
fast forward to the end. Yeah. I mean, it's not like mind blowingly cool, but it's worth seeing. Yeah. Go on. Tell me your impressions of Gotham Knights. Leave it. I mean, I was gonna say spoiler free, but I don't know how much there is to spoil. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it felt like fan fiction written by and acted out by a tween.
Yeah.
Because like none of the characters are the characters that we know. Well, none of the main characters really are the characters that we know and love. Like some of them are by name and name alone. But just like the name drops and stuff, like, can I think it's known she's the Joker's daughter.
Yeah, that's like the characters they're using is all common knowledge. That was all in the trailers and everything.
And she's when your dad killed my dad left my mom and ran off with this woman you might know her as Harley Quinn. And she's doing everything but like winking at the camera, like, you know who I'm talking about? And it's like, oh,
you'll never see her on the show, but you know her name, right?
Yeah, but like, what's his name?
Turner Hayes.
Like, what the hell? There's literally 3 Robins or 4 Robins you could use. Like, what? Why? Who is this? It just doesn't. And he's not a good actor. Like, even his acting doesn't save it. Like, it's just terrible. How this thing got ordered to series, I will never know. And not wanting to steal your thunder, but you absolutely said it best when you were messaging us this morning, and you said,
you want me to say it now?
Yeah, because you hit the nail on the head with what it feels like.
This, okay, I'll say it. This show to me, it feels like a pilot that got made in 2003 and was not picked up to series. Mm-hmm. And so as fans, we would have heard about it for years of like, oh, did you know that they made like a pilot for a Gotham Knights show? And we all would talk about it and go, oh, that would have been cool. That's a shame that we never got to see it. And then you'd pick up a copy of it at Comic-Con and you'd go home and watch it and you'd go, oh, yeah, I totally get why this didn't get picked up.
It's like the Wonder Woman TV series. Was it like 2012, 2013 or something?
Yeah, but that was better than this.
Well, it was better than that, but still at the same time, you're like, okay, I understand why this didn't happen.
Yes, that's what this feels like. Is like a failed pilot that never made air, but somehow because it was being made during this huge shakeup at WB, it's like it slipped through the cracks, and now it's a show.
And the other thing, like this criticism, I know I'm sort of going to be talking out of both sides of my mouth here because the same thing happens in Titans and like it happened in Batwoman. I only ever watched the first season of that and I get it, it's a TV budget and stuff where Batman's world feels very small. like in Titans, you know, like the Batmobile and the Batcave, like it's very, very small, and you only kind of see like a hint of the Batmobile with like the red on the side, and but like the Bat costume in this, like the cowl and everything, like it pops up out of this little drawer.
It's only the cowl. We only ever see the
Yeah,
cowl,
and like
but
and terrible like Batarang replicas that don't even remotely look real, and the cowl looks like something that, again, a high schooler made in like their art class or in their back shed. Like it just doesn't ring true to what it should be. Yeah, like I always feel bad coming on a show and just like kicking the shit out of something, but sometimes it deserves it, and this absolutely does. If this gets picked up for a second season, I don't know what I'll do, but I can't see. Yeah, there's no way, no way. Anyway, I'll shut up.
that's okay. Here's the thing. A lot of the things that, that you're bringing up that both of us don't really like about the show, a lot of it we already have discussed and we knew about it. Like, why invent Turner Hayes when you've got, is that his name? Did I get that right? Turner
Yeah.
Hayes. Why invent Turner Hayes when you have Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Damian Wayne? Why do you make up Turner Hayes? And we talked about all that in the past, and I think all of that still rings true. But like, I watched this going, well, it's still set in Batman's world. Maybe there's something there, like I was still, I don't want to say I came in completely open-minded, because it didn't sound good. The trailers weren't good. The photos weren't good. So it's not like I was holding out a lot of hope for it, but I'm always happy to be surprised. And, but no, this, it's pretty bad. As far as the positives go, I think Misha Collins is good as Harvey Dent. I think he's pretty good. I don't actually blame any of the cast. I think they're doing what they're being asked to do, and that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know
I
if
don't
better
even want to
actors could
blame them.
elevate the material, but
Yeah,
they're also not great actors.
they're kids, right? And
Yeah, but
they're
there's
doing
good kid
okay.
actors as
And
well.
but like, and I like seeing Gotham, and I like seeing, you know, sorry, Wayne Tower, and I like seeing the Batcave, even a hint of it. You're right, the cowl. I don't know how that got approved. That's madness to me, that a cowl that looks that janky, they were like,
And
yeah,
it's
that's
like
fine.
it's half done. Like it doesn't even
Yeah.
go like cover his neck. Like
It looks like one of those little plastic half masks that they sell at
yes.
Spirit Halloween for kids.
Yeah, but like even at the start, I'm like, oh, like cool, they've got blimps in the
Right.
sky.
They've got
Like
exactly. They've got
it
a
looks
blimp,
like
and
PlayStation 2 graphics.
yeah, they've got
It's
blimps,
not
they've got
good.
Wayne Manor, they got Wayne Tower, and I'm like, great, I like seeing those things, but yes, the effects are pretty bad, so they all look kind of cartoony. And yeah, it just, the story itself doesn't work. And I think this is what it comes down to is, yeah, like they wanted to do a Bat Family show, and they're not allowed to use any of the Bat Family we care about, because
And don't
all of
do a
those
show.
feel like they're being saved for movies.
Yeah.
And so
Or a better show.
you have to invent a new adopted son for Bruce. You can't use Batgirl. You can't use any of the Robins. You can't even use Batwoman.
Well,
So
technically you can use one of the Robins, but even then it's not. I mean,
sorta, yeah,
the
yeah.
costumes, there's nothing about it's Robin.
So when you're left with the C tier Bat Family, one who got completely made up, it's like it's really hard to care.
Yeah.
Um, and then the story itself doesn't really work, and it also feels like, again, kind of because it feels like it's from 2003, it also feels like one of those comic book shows that's like kind of embarrassed to be a comic show, so they're sidestepping it, like, so it's just, and maybe they'll get there, but I don't have the patience to care and wait for it. It's just like they're allowed to use all of the toys at the very bottom of the toy chest, and it's all the toys no one wants to play with. And I mean, I guess God bless them for trying, but there's a reason they're at the bottom of the toy chest.
Yeah, and it also wouldn't help. I mean, I don't know how it screens on the CW, but it doesn't help. I think it's on the same night as Superman and Lois. I don't know if it comes before or after. If it goes after, heaven help it, because I watched it directly after watching the new episode of Superman and Lois, and woof, like, you've got a really good quality DC comic book show, still on a TV budget.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the effects on that, like, obviously they're not cinema quality, but they're a hell of a lot better than just the cityscapes that we saw in Gotham Knights.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, man, it's just not good. And like how you were saying, if you only left with these C tier characters and making up, like, at what point do you just go, well, how about we just write something different, like, and not make this a Batman show, because it's so far removed from anything related to Batman. I mean, what's the point?
Yeah. I mean, Harvey Dent is the most marquee character.
But even that doesn't make any sense given the timeline of
Yeah.
what's
I mean, yes,
happened. Like,
they completely shuffled the timeline. But if you're talking about the kids, you've got Turner Hayes, who's made up. You've got the Joker's daughter, Duella. Here it says Duella Doe. I thought it was Duella Dent. I don't know. I don't know anything about her from the comics, but she is a comic character, but I know nothing about her. And I don't think it's the same as the Joker's daughter, who had her own series way back when.
Yeah.
Like in the early 2000s, or maybe it was like the 2010s, like where the Joker's daughter tried to be a thing. So you got her. You got Harper and Colin Rowe, who I like just fine in the comics, but was anyone clamoring for their live action debut? And then you've got Carrie Kelly, who is probably the most famous of them, but she's an Elseworlds Robin, so I guess that's why they can use her. And then you got Stephanie Brown. So the fact that you don't have one single marquee Bat family member, and you're right, at that point, if it's like, oh, if these are the only characters we're allowed to use, is it even worth doing the show?
And like, again, I'm not someone who has a real problem with race swapping characters, but like, they've taken anything that made Carrie Kelly distinctively Carrie Kelly. Like, there's nothing there.
No, it's just the
that
name
resembles the character at all. Like, I mean, one of her characteristics is she's a redhead. And again, I've got no problem with race swapping, but there's nothing.
At least give her the flippy hairdo or something.
Yeah, give her
something where you go, oh, I see why that's Carrie Kelly. I do feel like, they gave her the light up goggles. Did you get that far?
Yes, but that's where I stopped.
And like the costume is terrible. It's just a black bodysuit.
It's like the early X-Men movies.
Yeah,
obviously shittier quality, but it's like, it's just a black leather suit.
Where she's like, I'm Robin. I'm like, well, you know what? I would have never known that. But
you don't even have an R on your chest.
All I can think of is that because the goggles light up green, that's sort of a nod to her green glasses.
Yeah, but
it's a stretch. Like, it ain't much.
And correct, is this the first live action Carrie Kelly?
There was a photo of her in Titans.
Okay.
But it was just a photo.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I believe this is the first live action Carrie Kelly.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, I mean, and again, all that aside, if it was surprisingly compelling or cinematic or exciting or anything, I feel like, I want to get on board with this. I do. But it wasn't. It was very run of the mill. The dialogue was pretty lame. It just didn't grab me for a number of reasons. And so, yeah, it was just like, it was a bit of a chore to get through. And again, in the end, there's like one cool moment at the end, and I won't spoil that. But what made me laugh is that this comes from Danny Cannon, who also did Gotham.
It makes Gotham look like The Godfather.
I mean, yeah, but it made me miss Gotham.
Right? It elevates Gotham.
Yeah. So,
yeah. And see, look, hey, I'm someone who's I haven't watched the third season yet, but I'm part of the way through it. I've watched all of Pennyworth. And it's super far removed and, just using a lot of characters in name only and stuff, but it's entertaining and it's well acted and the sets and stuff look really, really good. Mm-hmm. This has none of it. It's got really nothing going for it apart from Misha Collins, as you said, but even that, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And I mean, I never really went back to Pennyworth after we recorded about it way back when, but you're right. Like, I had no interest in that show, but it actually turned out to be pretty darn good. Batman connections aside, because I really liked the lead. I liked Alfred. I liked this, spy adventure, and it was really fun, regardless of whether or not
He's a
it
great
was about
Alfred.
Batman.
He really
Yeah, he was
is.
great. So that was kind of what I was hoping with here, and maybe it'll get better, but am I going to find out? Probably not.
Yeah.
Like it's just, and it does feel like, and God, this is going to sound terrible because there have been so many CW shows I like, but this feels like all the worst parts of the CW
Yeah.
in one show,
Because the guy who you just mentioned, who's behind it, who did because Bruno Heller did Gotham. Was this the second guy who helped do Gotham or something?
Danny Cannon.
Yeah.
Yes, I just remember he did a bunch of Gotham.
Okay. Because I know Bruno Heller, he also did Pennyworth.
Okay.
And it kind of veers off into Gotham territory in terms of just stuff being kind of weird for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think they both of them just kind of need to put Batman related stuff to bed after this
Yeah.
and go and find
maybe
something else
maybe
to
this
do.
isn't your bag.
No.
So anyway, yeah, I didn't want to do an episode of just us kicking it while it's down, insert gif from the Simpsons of stop, it's dead already. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty bad, and when it was over, I was like, man, what the hell? Like, to your point, how did this get picked up for series? That's crazy. And my best explanation, it just fell through the cracks. It was getting made, and they're like, well, we'll just see what
Like, it
happens.
kind of reminds me of the Catwoman movie in that, better quality things were being made, and it's like they just had one last crack at, just trying to sell a name rather than have a good product to back it up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just trying to cash in on that Batman, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the Batman IP. And yeah, it just doesn't work on any level. Avoid
Yeah.
it. We took the bullet for you.
Indeed we did. So that's Gotham Knights.
Valet.
To your point, though, I also watched the premiere of Superman and Lois. It took me about 3 hours to finish it because I was chasing around a baby, but I eventually finished it, and it's great to have that show back because that continues to be a great show.
So good.
Yeah, it was awesome. Interesting where they set up this season, and I think the new Jonathan is good. It's still a little weird when you see him, but
it doesn't sit in your brain properly. It feels just a bit off, but
it does.
that
But
always
what are
happens
you
when they
gonna?
replace
Yeah,
actors.
when you recast, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So it is nice to have that one back because it's a great show. So enjoying it. Do you know how committed I was? I watched both of these shows on the CW app.
Okay.
And the CW app sucks.
Oh, okay.
Anyone will tell you, avoid it. But that's how committed I was. So
Okay.
I want.
I'm kind of lucky
like
with CW shows the last few years since Binge started over here. We get them same day, and I just
Oh,
stream them
that's
on Binge.
nice.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, like for the longest time, they would always hit Netflix like the week after the season wrapped.
Yes, yeah, they would.
But yeah,
Titans still does over here. Titans is
okay,
still technically next Netflix show over here.
yeah. So anyway, let's move forward. Another little piece of news that came out. What was this, last week? No, almost 2 weeks ago now. Week and a half ago, is that the animated Batman Cape Crusader is alive again.
Good.
So this is the animated series that was coming to HBO Max, that was canceled for HBO Max so they could shop it to other streaming platforms and sell it to them. And one of those did bite. It's Amazon. So we're going to have Batman Cape Crusader. They did order 2 seasons for Batman Cape Crusader for Amazon Prime.
Doesn't matter where they put it. I'm in.
All right, great. I mean, now that is settled, and that is good news, I will say I still kind of have a bad taste in my mouth about how it all went down.
Well,
I'll get over it. I'll get over it once I can see the show, but the whole thing still just feels kind of gross to me.
Yeah.
But all that aside, I'm glad we're getting the show, and I was always pretty confident we would get the show. I just didn't like how it was all going down. But it's nice to get that confirmed. Amazon is, I guess, as good a place as any. But now that all this has been happening, they announced this thing in 2021. I would like to get a trailer at a certain point. I'd like to see some footage. I want to see what the show's going to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, have they made any of it?
I mean, I do know that it's been in production. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if they paused production while they were shopping it around.
Because we've had no voice cast or anything, have we? It's just kind of that
No.
one teaser image. Because if you remember too, there was meant to be a Superman animated series that was announced at the same time.
Yeah.
Is that DOA or is that being shopped around? Like,
It's been awfully quiet, so I think it's dead for
because
now.
the premise of it sounded pretty fun from memory.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but
Yeah. So again, I know they were in production when everything went down, and so the question is did they continue production confident that someone else was going to buy it, or did they stop production and now they've got to restart? I'm not clear on that.
I don't know. Just, I don't care how. I want it now. I'm
Yeah.
being Veruca Salt about it.
So I can't wait to see what it's going to be. I can't wait to get a premiere date, but none of that info has happened other than the fact that, yep, Amazon bought it.
Cool. Well, I have Amazon, so I'm happy.
Good. Another thing that's like news that's not earth shattering, but I think it's worth a mention real quick is a couple days ago, Zack Snyder tweeted out a little teaser video. It was like a message from Darkseid, and it was said hashtag full circle. And it got people like, oh, and it said April 28th, 29th, and 30th, save the date from Lord Darkseid. And so it got some speculation. It's like, oh, what's happening? What's happening? As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, it's going to be SnyderCon 2, right? Like, that's what else is it going to be? I didn't dare wish for anything more than that because you don't want to get your hopes up just to have them dashed. I always assumed that was the case, and sure enough, that's essentially what it is. It's SnyderCon 2.0. They're going to be screening Man of Steel, BVS, and Zack Snyder's Justice League in Pasadena at the end of April, and apparently there'll be some like Q&A with Zack. So it's great news for any DC or Zack Snyder fans who live in that area, but for everyone else, it's like, well, that's nice.
Would you have gone if you were still out that way? Or tried to have gone?
I would have. I don't know
Yeah.
if I could have gone to all three, but yes, if I still lived in California, I would have tried to go probably Justice League since
Yeah,
I've never
I
seen
think
Zack
that'd be the
Snyder.
one that everyone
Yeah,
wants to.
I've never seen Zack Snyder's Justice League in a movie theater, so that would
Yeah,
yes, that would be my go-to.
would be amazing.
So I'm sure we'll probably get some fun sound bites or some fun quotes from the Q&As. Maybe they will stream the Q&A or they'll post a video on YouTube later. But yeah, it's, I tempered my expectations and rightfully so because it's like, oh, cool. It's a screening of those movies.
Yeah. Well, that's fun for people who can go.
Yeah, exactly. Great for people who can go.
I can watch them at home.
Yeah. We were talking recently about HBO Max. Something else that's going out with HBO Max is the Penguin series is shooting.
Yes.
They're out there filming right now. And so there's been a lot of like spy pics and set pics of Colin Farrell in full penguin garb walking around wearing suits and stuff. But is worth noting that there have been more cast announced. Let's see here. Theo Rossi, James Medeo, and Scott Cohen have all been added in unannounced roles, and Michael Zegan will allegedly be playing Alberto Falcone.
Cool.
And what else is in here? Lots of casting, but unknown roles. So also Renzi Felix, Michael Kelly, Shora Shora Agadashlu, and Deirdre O'Connell. All like so. Most of the cast we don't really know. Krista Melody. Oh, that was I think you mentioned that recently was Sophia Falcone and Clancy Brown is
Maroney,
Sal
yeah.
Maroney.
And
So yeah, those
she's
we knew.
Sophia Falcone, yeah.
Yeah, so those we knew. But anyway, more cast members. I don't have strong feelings on any of them. Alberto Falcone, along with Sophia Falcone, it could be cool. It really does kind of sound just from those things like it's what we expected, which is now that Falcone is gone.
I know him from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. He's a good actor.
Who?
Michael Zegan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, now that Falcone is gone, his kids are out there probably vying for his position. Maroni is out there vying for his position, and my hunches it will be the Penguin taking on all of them to become the crime boss in Gotham.
Michael Kelly in another DC role.
Which one's Michael Kelly?
He was Lombard in Man of Steel and BVS.
Oh, him! I love that guy.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
Yeah, I really like him. I love him in Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
Because they make you hate him, and then by the end you like him, which is a heck of a trick. Anyway, I didn't realize that was him. But yes, cool. So the Penguin series is coming. I'm interested and looking forward to it. There was also some fun back and forth about someone reported that like Bruce Wayne can show up in it, but not Batman because the Batman TV rights are tied up still with like Fox and Disney and other things. And I was like, that doesn't sound right, because why would the deal made for Batman 66 still be in place today in 2023?
Right.
So I was like, that doesn't really make sense, but okay, whatever. And then James Gunn debunked it and said, no, that's not true.
God bless Gunn.
Yep, God bless it. We love that. So that doesn't mean Batman necessarily will show up in it. It just means he could show up in it.
And if he did, I think it would be very, very minimal.
Yeah,
like,
probably.
Very minimal.
It would be nice.
Yeah, like a glorified cameo or something.
For like the season finale or something, to really
similar to like Peacemaker, how you had Barry and Aquaman show up for
exactly, like in the finale, because then it could be a nice like segue into the Batman 2.
Yeah, like honestly, it would make more sense for Gordon to show up than Batman in a lot of instances. Yeah, which I'd be fine with.
Well, and I will say that I was just thinking, like, this is kind of speculation about the Batman 2, but I always felt like the Batman 2 Court of Owls felt like it was on the table, because I feel like they discussed it, in the release of the Batman, and at the same time, it feels like one of the pieces of Batman's mythology that would, I think, fit very neatly into the world that Reeves created.
Yeah.
But they're doing Court of Owls on freaking Gotham Knights.
Yeah, actually, yeah, they kind of are, aren't they?
Yeah, so I'm like, I mean, it might not matter, right? Like, it's not like one or the other the way it used to be, but at the same time, I mean, and also I expect Harvey Dent to show up in the Batman 2. The district attorney died in the Batman 1.
That's true.
So it probably doesn't matter. It's Gotham Knights, but it was just something I thought of where I was like, my hunch is,
I don't think they'll care.
Yeah, they probably won't. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking out loud as I'm thinking about this, and the Penguin going into the Batman 2 and what might show up in that movie. I'm not holding my breath the way some fans are for Mr. Freeze. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I just don't see it working.
I don't either. I would be delighted to be wrong and surprised, but I just don't see it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, well, then who does work? Harvey Dent, Two-Face works in Reeves's Batverse. Court of Owls could work in Reeves's Batverse,
Yeah,
So.
I mean, do they really want to do a sequel to a Batman quasi-origin story with the villains being the Joker and Harvey Dent, though?
What do they care?
Well, true. They didn't care the first time around, did they?
Fans don't care either, so,
We're going to get emails.
You're the one who went there. As you do.
You just I'm holding back, by the way.
I'm sure you are. Anyway, it was just something I was thinking of because I was thinking about the Penguin. Obviously, he's taking on other mob bosses. I do expect it to be much more of a crime story, and I think they said that, right? It's much more an organized crime story. It makes sense that he would be trying to now lobby to be the top guy in Gotham, and that's cool and that's fun, and I'm looking forward to that. But then it just got me thinking of like, well, then what can it set up for the sequel? And anyway, that's all.
Escalation.
Indeed. All right. So something else, unrelated, but interesting nonetheless, is Variety just did this big cover story and interview with oh no, it wasn't Variety. I'm sorry. It was the Hollywood Reporter. My bad. The Hollywood Reporter just did a big cover story with Ben Affleck and a big interview with Ben Affleck. And it's a great read. I highly recommend it. Of course, I also screwed up who did it, but Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, they're all the same in my brain. But he talked a lot about a lot of stuff. He talked about his new movie. He talked about his career. He talked about his personal life and, being a celebrity and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But of course, he still had some stuff to say about with DC. So there were some really nice things about DC and some interesting things. I don't want to say it was all nice, but some interesting things that he said about it. So the first thing, this is the nice thing when he talked about the Flash. So he was talking about movies that he likes, movie that he likes watching, movies that he likes making, and he said something about these are the movies I like, and then the interviewer said as opposed to, and he said the Justice League experience. The fact that those stories became somewhat repetitive to me and less interesting. Yeah, I did finally figure out how to play that character, and I nailed it in The Flash. For the 5 minutes I'm there, it's really great. A lot of it's just tone. You've got to figure it out. What's your version of that person? Who's the guy that fits what you can do? I tried to fit myself into a Batman. And by the way, I like a lot of the stuff that we did, especially the first one, meaning Batman v Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing, that's the first thing. I'm talking about him getting less interested in superhero movies, which fair. I get why he's saying that, especially with what he went through with Justice League. But I liked the kind words he said about the Flash. That's exciting to hear.
It is. I mean, the 5 minutes thing, I think people are taking out of, not out of context, but it's like, that's probably hyperbole. Like, how long do you think he's going to be in it, though? Like,
I always expected him to be in it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
like I expect the big opening action scene, which most of it is not him. And then I expect the conversation with Barry that we saw in the trailer. That's really what I'm expecting to get from Affleck in this movie. Anything in addition to those two scenes, I will consider a bonus because I'm not expecting them.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah, I don't know. 5 minutes is, like I said, to me, it felt a little bit hyperbole, but I'm not expecting him to be in half the movie.
No.
But I mean, he's in enough to get action. Well, I say he's in enough to get action figures, and Aquaman had action figures for VBS. So
yeah, we know he's in an action scene, and that's enough to get an action figure.
True, but no, like it's kind of what I expect.
It is what I expect. But again, I like how positive he's been about making that movie and his performance in that movie. I love that he feels like he nailed it. That makes me happy.
Yeah, I do think the thing that I took away from that is it's like, well, yeah, I knew he was never going to be in it for long, but I don't think we're going to get that Affleck and Keaton sharing the screen together. Seeing what we also desperately want.
I would love it, but I was never holding my breath for that either.
Same, but it would be amazing.
Oh, it would, God. But yeah. But anyway, it was nice to hear that about the Flash, and it was nice to him still give props to BVS after everything that went down with that.
Yeah.
And then they said, Justice League, what went wrong there? And he says, Justice League, you could teach a seminar on all the reasons why this is how not to do it, ranging from production to bad decisions to horrible personal tragedy and just ending with the most monstrous taste in my mouth. The genius and the silver lining is that Zack Snyder eventually went to AT&T and was like, look, I can get you 4 hours of content. And it's principally just all the slow motion that he shot in black and white. And one day of shooting with me and him, and he was like, hey, do you want to come shoot in my backyard? I was like, I think they're a union, Zach. I think we have to make a deal. But I went and did it. And now Zack Snyder's Justice League is my highest rated movie on IMDb.
Wow.
Wait
till Air comes out. I do wonder if that might change because that movie looks so good.
Oh, totally. And then he continued on. He said, say what you want is my highest rated career movie. I've never had one that went from nadir to pinnacle. Retroactively, it's a hit. All of a sudden, I was getting congratulated for the bomb that I'm in. But I was going to direct a Batman. And Justice League made me go, I'm out. I never want to do any of this again. I'm not suited. That was the worst experience I've ever seen in a business which is full of some shitty experiences. It broke my heart. There was an idea of someone coming in like, I'll rescue you and we'll do 60 days of shooting and I'll write a whole thing around what you have. I've got the secret. And it wasn't the secret. That was hard. and I started to drink too much. I was back at the hotel in London. It was either that or jump out the window. And I just thought, this isn't the life I want. My kids aren't here. I'm miserable. You want to go to work and find something interesting to hang on to rather than just wearing a rubber suit. And most of it, you're just standing against the computer screen going, if this nuclear waste gets loose, that's fine. I don't condescend to that or put it down, but I got to a point where I found it creatively not satisfying. Also, just you're sweaty and exhausted. And I thought, I don't want to participate in this in any way. I don't want to squander any more of my life, of which I have a limited amount. So, I mean, we knew what a nightmare the Justice League shoot is.
None of that's surprising.
But, I mean, I appreciate his candor about Joss coming in and being like, don't worry, I'll rescue you. I got it all figured out. And he didn't. Nope. And also, what was the quote of it was the most horrible experience in a town full of shitty experiences, something like that, where I was like, damn, like that is something.
I mean, look, I'm not saying I don't believe him that he doesn't want to direct anything. Like, things might change. Money could be, they could break up the Briggs truck to him, whatever. There might be a project that he is interested in at some point. Who knows? Because how many years ago was it now? Was it like 2017 or something? Like, he flat out said, I'm done. Like, I'm not playing Batman again. He came back for Zack Snyder's Justice League. He came back for The Flash. And don't forget, he's shot stuff for Aquaman too, remember?
Yeah.
Whether that is actually in the movie, like, because, with the releases changing and stuff and the Flash being sort of a reset, like that might not be in there anymore, but he still went to work. He still did it. Like, he's come back 3 times.
Yeah.
So, because something happened that piqued his interest, obviously. And, who's to say that won't happen? There was a period where we were never going to see Zack Snyder's Justice League and we got it. So as much as I take him at his word, and I don't think he will direct any of these movies as they stand at the moment, who's to say? You never know.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're right. Never say never. The fact that he did come back for The Flash and the fact that he did, come back and shoot a couple days for Aquaman, like all of that stuff, you're right. Like it's worth noting. And what he's saying is it gets repetitive. It's not interesting to him. It's not satisfying to him. If they did come to him with a pitch that was something different, that was satisfying, you're right. He is within his rights to change his mind. But here he is pretty clear in that, not wanting any part of it, especially as a director at this point, right?
Yeah.
Because then they did say, well, if DC came to you now and asked, do you want to direct something? He said, I would not direct something for the Gunn DC. Absolutely not. I have nothing against James Gunn. Nice guy. I'm sure he's going to do a great job. I just wouldn't want to go in and direct in the way they're doing that. I'm not interested in that.
See, that's the one that, to me, I think's been taken out of context a lot, because people are now using James Gunn's quote of like, we've had conversations with Ben, we're excited to work with him in the future, like Gunn was talking shit. And it's like, well, no, just because Affleck said that now doesn't mean that he and Gunn didn't have conversations.
Right.
Like, and Gunn would have been excited to work with him, but obviously the conversations didn't pan out the way that Gunn would have wanted them to. Like, yeah, using his quote to say that Gunn's full of shit just doesn't sit right with me, because it's like, well, no, Gunn's very, very transparent with stuff and shoots down people for telling bullshit all the time. Why would he then go and do it himself? That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I completely agree. It's like, and he just got done talking for 5 minutes about how he doesn't want to direct a superhero movie. Yeah. And so when they ask him, so if DC came to you and asked you to direct a superhero movie, would you do it? And he's like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah,
I would not. And so, yeah, I don't, it doesn't sound like he's throwing shade at James Gunn. It doesn't sound like James Gunn lied, because we don't know what conversations they did have. But what it does do, at least for now, it does damper the hope that he could come and direct one of the new DC movies, because, as he says, he's not interested in that. The other thing that I think it caused a little speculation, where he says, I just wouldn't want to go in and direct in the way they're doing that, which could mean a million different things. And who knows, but like, again, people are like reading maybe a little too much into it and going, well, he must think that their plans are crap. And it's like, no, he did not say that. Like, he's talking about how, again, he just finished. You read all of the quotes that lead up to this about how he doesn't find the genre super creatively fulfilling. And James Gunn is talking about building one big, cohesive, connected superhero saga. You can see why Ben Affleck is like, no, I'm not really interested in that.
Yeah.
And that's fair. And that's his right. And, I've said it before. I was a Affleck fan before he ever became Batman. I've always liked the guy. And I think he's a really talented filmmaker. I think he's a really talented actor. So I support him in whatever he does. And if he never touches the superhero genre again, that's okay. I'm okay with that. I love the ones that we got, and I'm going to look forward to his next film because, as you said, the next one, Air, looks awesome. And I can't wait to see what he does next.
It's a movie about sneakers, and it looks like potentially one of the best movies of the year. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we're not talking about it this time next year with the Oscars just being over, yeah, it looks amazing. So let him go and do what he wants. He's a very, very talented actor and filmmaker. He was a fantastic Batman. Yes, it sucks we didn't get more. Yes, it really sucks we didn't get his Batman movie. I would love to go back to 2013, 2014 and the sliding doors moment of, the DC universe, as it were, back then actually working. I would have loved to have seen what we got from Ben. But, I'm also happy with what we do have, and him not doing any more is not going to take those away. Yeah, and there's still a bit more to come.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, there's a reason I wanted to read his exact quotes, because too many people have taken these quotes and put words in his mouth or added context that was not there or tried to make it mean something else. And I appreciate, if you read the entire interview, towards the end of the interview, he talks about how he doesn't like to do these things because all of his quotes get taken out of context and become clickbait. And in that same interview, people took things out of context and turned them into clickbait.
Yep.
So, but you're right. The good news is we at least get another chance to see him one more time coming in The Flash. And one of the weirdest,
like, who knows if he is in Aquaman? Like,
it's certainly possible. But a random piece of news that came out is that Tom Cruise has seen The Flash.
Random but cool.
He's seen The Flash and he liked it so much that he cold called Andy Muschietti to tell him how good it was.
That's such a Tom Cruise thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get me that guy's number. I want to call him.
I love that. And apparently, like, he was taking a meeting with David Zaslav and they were talking about upcoming movies. And apparently he said, "Oh, The Flash is coming and it's great." And Tom Cruise said, "Well, I'd love to see it." And they're like, "Okay." And so they showed it to him and he loved it so much he called Andy Muschietti. So I sure hope this is true.
It's hard to keep my expectations in check for that movie because I have not heard, I mean, obviously the lead up to it and the stuff around Ezra and everything. But in terms of the movie, now that it's done, I've not heard a bad thing about it. And they are confident because they're airing it within the next month. And it's still, 3 months away? 3-4 months away from coming out? Like, they've never done that with any
just shy of 3 months.
Yeah, it's like, my God. I actually, speaking of Shazam, yesterday I got to see that trailer on the big screen for the first time. Oh man, it just looks so good.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited about it. I haven't seen it on the big screen yet, but this week, I
assume you will with Shazam. I mean, if I got it, you'll get it.
I look forward to it. But yeah, I just love that random news. I'm excited for The Flash, obviously. But yeah, it's and I mean, it's like we said when the trailer came out, is I'm like, somehow they've managed to turn that conversation around, and that is a hell of a feat.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got Tom Cruise in your corner, then there are worse champions to have your back.
I wonder what he and Zaslav were meeting about.
I know. Green Lantern.
Well, yeah, okay.
So, speaking of The Flash, as long as we're going there, this past week, the Flash merchandise has been out of control. So we have gotten so many like reveals of Funkos for the Flash and action figures for the Flash and statues for the Flash and vehicles for the Flash. And I just keep seeing them. And every time I see one, like a little $20 bill flies out of my wallet and I never see it again.
Double that for me over here.
Yeah, no kidding. So I've already got, I posted on Twitter, I've already got the main 3 Funkos of Batman, the Flash, and Supergirl. And those are rad. So I love that they're already out. That makes me so happy.
Yeah. The Funkos do drop early.
They do. I really want to get Batman in the Batwing. It's really cool. I'm not a completist with Funkos because there's just too many. So I pick and choose. So I'm happy with like the main 3. I might get Batfleck, but I definitely want the Batwing.
See, I'm that way with the Funkos where I'm like, I mean, I want to get one like today because to be insane that I don't know if they're actually out here yet. But at the same time, and I know you'll get to it, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I could get a couple of them now, or I could wait and get the McFarlane figures. Like, I don't really need the Funkos. I'm probably better off just saving my money for the McFarlane figures because those I do want. And I mean, obviously, I'm not going to get all of them, but again, the main characters, I do really, really want to get the McFarlanes for those.
Yeah. Well, and here's the problem. I could get the Funkos now.
That's the thing. That's
right? Exactly. And that's exactly. I was like, wait. I was looking at work when I was avoiding work, and I was like, wait, they'll be delivered tomorrow? And purchase. And Amazon was like, buy all 3. And I was like, click. They'll be here tomorrow. That's terrific. So yeah, I'm like, because they're already available, and I am so excited. And like we said, I haven't been this like merchandise crazy about one of these DC movies since Justice League, I think.
Yeah. I think maybe for me it was BVS. I went batshit.
Oh, me too. BVS stuff. Me too. And so yeah, I was just like, oh, what the hell? I'm doing it. So I need to get that Batwing, but the 3 Funkos are great, and they have a bunch of other Funkos as well. Some are spoilery, but I guess they're not that worried about it because now it's out there. So whatever, you get the villain, you get some other cameos. There's like one of those you know, like how they do like the Funko scenes, like movie scenes.
Yes,
there's one of those with the Flash and a bunch of babies. Did you see this?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's really weird, but it'll all make sense in June, I guess. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, there's Zod and a bunch of stuff. So again, there's so many of the Funkos. I do pick and choose, and that's why I'm like, well, I'll take the big 3, and I want the Batwing, and anything in addition to that, I'm going to wait and see. But as you said, there's also a lot of cool McFarlane stuff coming out, which I will also be purchasing. So I pre-ordered the statues, the 12-inch statues for Batman, the Keaton Batman, and the Flash.
Cool.
And those are set to arrive April 16th.
Oh, geez, that's not far away.
I know, so that's coming pretty soon. So those are already bought and paid for and will be coming our way. I cannot wait. And I loved it. I showed it to Catherine, and we were looking around the living room, and she's like, I'm just trying to figure out where we could put them out here.
Okay, it's not in the office. Because that's the other thing with the Funko Batwing. Like, I'd love it, but I don't have a lot of room left.
I get that. I mean, I did do a little bit of rejiggering of the shelves just to get the Funkos up there. So if we can find space downstairs for the Flash and the Keaton Batman, that works for me. I will say that of all the McFarlane stuff, and it all looks amazing, I probably won't be getting the vehicles for that very reason of they're so big.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. They're just so big. I don't know where they would go.
But like, honestly, because someone asked me about it, and I'm like sitting in my office as I am now, and where I work 4 out of 5 days a week, I look down to my bottom right, and like I've got my Batman Returns Batmobile that the sides pop off, and becomes a Batmobile. Underneath that, I've got my Kenner one from '89. Like, I don't need another big Batmobile. Like, yeah, of course I'd love it, but I've already got that covered. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I completely. I mean, I have a BVS Batmobile in my closet because there's no room for it.
Yeah.
I have a Lego Batmobile I have not put together because I don't know where it's going to go.
I just put my Batman the Animated Series one, the DC collectibles, the huge Batmobile they did like 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I've just put it on Facebook Marketplace because I've got no room for it. It's been sitting in my cupboard for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Like, and
It's
I'd
sad,
rather
but I
get a
get it.
couple of hundred for that and put that towards getting the McFarlane figures,
Yeah. So these new vehicles are beautiful, and we've got the Batwing, we have the Batmobile, we have Affleck's Batcycle. They're all beautiful, but yeah, I don't think I will be picking them up just because I don't know where they go. But the figures, I'll be getting the figures.
Oh shit, yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm getting those. That's going to be no problem. And again, some are a little spoilery. Not too bad, but yeah, those will just be fun to hunt down. But what's weird is the Affleck one. It is black again. It's black and gray. It is
It
not blue.
is. Yeah.
So I'm hoping there's going to be a blue variant that comes out.
Sorry if you can hear Henry losing his
I
mind in the
can, but
background.
it's fine.
Yeah. He's 2 and he's sick and he's also teething, so
all good. But anyway, so yeah, like I'm disappointed that the Affleck one is black and gray again. But whatever. I'll still probably get it because I'll be a completist when it comes to this stuff.
Absolutely. And I don't have a McFarlane Affleck, so
I do not have a McFarlane Affleck, but I have a BVS Batfleck, and I have a Suicide Squad Batfleck, and I have a Justice League Batfleck. So I already have quite a few Batflecks.
Quite a few, but yeah, the McFarlane one's just that bit bigger and extra detail. So
yeah. I also say, and again, I don't think it's a spoiler because it's been in photos and everything, but one of the figures is I assume it's the younger Barry, where he turned one of Batman's old suits into the Flash suit.
It's kind of cool.
I think it's fun. I've seen some people hating on it, going, it looks so stupid. And I'm like, I mean, that's the point. Is that he had to turn a Batman suit into a Flash suit.
Because he doesn't have a costume.
Because he doesn't have a costume. Like, yeah, it looks dopey. Like, it's supposed to. Like, you have the super sleek, badass Flash suit, and this is intentionally meant to be different because he had to cobble it together from what he could find in the Batcave. So anyway, I was like, but again, some people want to find anything to complain about, but I was like, I think it's really fun, especially because the McFarlane figure of it looks really cool.
Yeah,
I'm going to get it. And his, and we saw it way back when Andy Muschietti posted the photo, it looks like it's the Returns chest piece.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
God, that was a couple of years ago now.
That was ages ago.
So long ago.
I wasn't married and there was no Harley.
Yeah.
That's how long ago that was.
I think there might have just been a Henry, maybe.
Yeah. So anyway, the figures, they will all be mine. The vehicles are beautiful and I would be tempted, but again, I just don't know what to do with them. Oh, I also have a huge 66 Batmobile in my closet. I forgot about that. Because I got nowhere to put it.
Is that the McFarlane one?
Yes. Yeah. No, it was the line that was before McFarlane. Who did the original 66 figures like a few years ago?
I know the one you mean though.
But it's that one. Yeah. And it's beautiful, but I just don't have anywhere to put it. Anyway, I think I made my point on that. The point is there's lots of merch coming. So much of it is so cool. I'm going to spend a lot of money. And when I said that, one of our kind listeners was like, I hope your wife's understanding. And I'm like, she is. She's the best. And thank God. Thank God I married her because she's just like, oh, hell yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
So
she's understanding to a point. She's not Catherine understanding, but she's understanding to a point.
Listen, there is only one Catherine Cobbs DeGenova.
That's true.
Sorry about it. And I got her. There was something else. Oh my God, as we were chatting, was something else. The Flash merchandise.
Batwing? They released the...
Oh, yes, but that's not it.
No.
Andy Muschietti also shared on his Instagram a video of a scoring session for the film where they had a live choir doing the Elfman Batman theme.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing. And he turns the camera on himself and you can tell he is just in heaven. And it caused me to message you guys and go, I think Andy Muschietti is way too happy to be doing Batman. And I think he loves Batman. And I really hope that he's in the running to do The Brave and the Bold.
Agreed.
He
Just
seems
based on
like
that
he is.
trailer, agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. He just seems like he is so excited to get to play with Batman that I hope he gets to do more of it.
I've never mentioned this, but I've always been curious, and I don't want to go off on a massive tangent or anything, but like, at what point when they're writing that movie, do they write it first and write in Michael Keaton Batman, and then take it to him, and then, like, because if you've got an amazing story, because it's such a long shot, it's something we never ever thought we'd get of Keaton coming back as Batman after all these years. Or do they go to him, look, we've got this idea, would you be interested if we wrote a script? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, what came first? Like, how did they get Keaton? You know what I mean? Like, I just still can't believe it's happening. I cannot believe we're getting
It,
Michael
it,
Keaton back.
it is crazy. You're absolutely right.
And given the history I mean, like, DC hasn't had the best history in the last 10 years. Like, is this, would it have been a risk for him or something? But like, what did they do to get him back? You know what I mean? In a movie that even
Paid
Burton's
him money.
not directed. Yeah, but yeah, it's still like money. He said no to a lot of things for money before.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
he's in a position in his career where he doesn't need to be Batman again.
No, that's absolutely true.
And he's not just a small role from what we've seen and what we've heard. Like, I think he's going to be in this movie quite a bit.
Yeah. I'm so excited. All right. One last big thing here, and this is something that has been speculated a lot, but this week it finally got confirmed. James Gunn is indeed directing Superman Legacy. And again, because I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, here's what he says on Twitter.
And
He
the
says,
internet
yes.
collectively rejoiced.
He says, yes, I'm directing Superman Legacy to be released on July 11th, 2025. My brother Matt told me when he saw the release date, he started to cry. I asked him why. He said, dude, it's Dad's birthday. I hadn't realized. I lost my dad almost 3 years ago. He was my best friend. He didn't understand me as a kid, but he supported my love of comics and my love of film, and I wouldn't be making this movie without him. It's been a long road to this point. I was offered Superman years ago. I initially said no because I didn't have a way in that felt unique and fun and emotional that gave Superman the dignity he deserved. Then a bit less than a year ago, I saw a way in many ways centering around Superman's heritage. How both his aristocratic Kryptonian parents and his Kansas farmer parents inform who he is and the choices he makes. So I chose to finally take on writing the script, but I was hesitant to direct despite the constant pestering by Peter Safran and others. Sorry, Peter. But because I write something doesn't mean I feel it in my bones, visually and emotionally, enough to spend over 2 years directing it, especially not something of this magnitude. But the long and short of it is, I love the script, and I'm incredibly excited as we begin this journey. Hashtag up, up, and away. Confirmed. Hashtag confirmed, Brendan.
Jeez, it's been a while since I've heard that.
Yeah, every once in a while we got to dust it off. What do you think?
Look, I'm not surprised. I'm curious to see what whether he's a good filmmaker, whether or not you like his sense of humor and stuff in a lot of things. It comes to know the quality of the movies are good. I'm not one of these people who are worried that Superman's going to be flying around making dick jokes, because that's not that character. He's done that with characters that really, I mean, like, obviously none of them are Superman. They don't have like a huge, what's kind of the term I'm looking for, like Guardians of the Galaxy, for example. Like, I didn't know who the hell they were before that movie came out. Like, you could kind of do what you wanted with them because it didn't really matter, because there's no big preconceived notions, sort of what I was trying to explain. For Superman, there is, like, he is the granddaddy of all superheroes, and I don't think he's going to go in and have that kind of crass humor and everything. I'm quite hopeful that we will get, no pun intended, a hopeful Superman, a very light and bright Superman, and yeah, I think it could be great. I'm willing to give him every chance to to just to do his best.
Yeah. I agree with you. Here's the thing. Do I expect there to be a couple moments in this movie that are a little James Gunn that's going to make me roll my eyes a little bit? Yeah, I do. Is it going to be enough to ruin the movie for me? Probably not. If the rest of the movie is great, there's just going to be a couple moments where you go, well, all right, James Gunn. But it's not surprising. And honestly, I think it makes sense. I think it's a great move. It's great that he started writing it. And the more he wrote it, the more he got into it. And the fact that he wants to do this, I think says a lot. I think he has passion for it. To your point, a lighter, brighter Superman, I fully expect that is what we're going to see, because he's almost said as much, when he talked about Superman being a blockbuster for everyone, a 4-quadrant blockbuster that everyone should be able to go and enjoy. So I truly expect that to be the case. And because it is, yes, we're getting the little appetizers of Creature Commandos and Waller, but this is the big debut of the new DC universe. And it's James Gunn's DC universe. So it only makes sense that he is the one behind the wheel for this first big movie that's going to be kicking this thing off. And so I think it makes sense from a creative standpoint. It makes sense from a business standpoint, because this is what this new universe is going to be. The Superman movie has to work. He'd better put his money where his mouth is, and he's doing it. And so I wish him all the luck in the world. I hope he hits a home run. I've said it 1,000 times. I love Batman, but I love Superman too. I'm excited to get a new Superman movie. And so I am rooting for him all the way. I do think he has it in him, and I can't wait.
Yeah. Same.
So it's great news. It's great to get that confirmation, and I can't wait to see what he comes up with. July 11th, 2025. Mark your calendars. It'll be here before we know it.
It will, actually.
Yeah, I know. So that's what I got for news now, Brendan. Oh, one quick one. Not earth-shattering, but super fun. If you haven't seen it, is that out at the Warner Brothers tour in Hollywood. It's in Burbank, California, but they call it Warner Brothers Tour Hollywood. They just unveiled last week a really awesome statue of Wonder Woman.
See that. Yeah.
So they had already done the Batman statue, also in Burbank, near the Burbank AMC. Now they've unveiled Wonder Woman. She looks amazing. It's a very
much the gal costume, isn't it?
Well, that's what I was just about to say. It's a very happy marriage of the gal costume, but the comic book Diana.
Yes. Looks great.
It looks amazing. It's gorgeous. I can't wait to go see it in person the next time I'm in town. And so we got 2 of the 3 Trinity out there. And so, yeah, keep an eye on the space. I have a hunch they won't be alone for long.
And, if a new movie's only 2 years away.
Hey, that seems like a great time.
Right?
Yep. So, no, and did you see that Patty Jenkins was there to unveil?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, Patty Jenkins was there. Jim Lee was there. So that made me happy.
Yeah, it sounded like Patty didn't leave on the best terms from the way she was telling the story. But for her to go and unveil a Wonder Woman statue, she could have turned around and said, F you.
Yeah.
And she didn't. So
I know. I love that. So that was very cool. Look up the photos. It's a gorgeous statue. Now, next time you go to Burbank, California, you got to get a picture with Batman. Got to get a picture with Wonder Woman, and then keep an eye out for Big Blue. Whew, there we go. That's what we got for news, buddy. Okie-dokie.
That was a lot. That's the most news we've had in a very long time.
Yeah, like I said, I thought we were just going to do Gotham Knights, and then stuff kept coming, and I was like, actually, we have a lot to talk about this week. That's fun. I like it. I'm excited about it. But we got something else. We did watch another animated episode of a certain TV show. Just for you, Brendan.
Don't say that.
You know it's true. So that's it. We're gonna review the next episode of The Batman. Season 1, Episode 8. We're knocking these out. This one's called Q&A. It aired on November 20th of 2004. It was written by Stephen Melching and directed by Brandon Vietti. This one introduces us to the Clue Master. On the last episode, me and Jamie were like, Clue Master, and I got him mixed up with the Puzzler on Batman 66. That's my bad. But apparently Clue Master is from the comics. I knew I had heard the name before. I just couldn't remember where. Because obviously he's not a big deal, but he is in the comics. One of our listeners, Matthew Malecki, sent me a note going, "Oh, yo, here he is." And I was like, "Oh, okay, great." I knew he existed. I knew nothing about him. And my hunch is the comic version is nothing like this version.
I would assume not.
But anyway, some folks are getting kidnapped by the Clue Master and his gang of evil munchkins. And he's bringing them in. And it turns out that when he was a little kid, he was on a game show. And he felt like he got cheated on the game show. And so now he is kidnapping everyone who was a part of that game show and making them relive the game show where he can essentially have his revenge or redeem himself. So he puts on a little game show where they ask him anything and he ends up getting it all right, which means they're all going to get dumped into acid. And Batman finds him. And he's real big.
He is.
He's a real big guy. And he is voiced by Glenn Shaddix, who was Otho in Beetlejuice.
Oh, okay. Which was super fun. Is that Fred Willard? He's in there as well.
Yeah, and Fred Willard is he's like the game show host.
Yeah.
I think. So yeah, some fun guest voices, but yeah, Glenn Shaddix, who passed away, R.I.P. Hearing his voice made me happy. That's true. Yeah, so recently. That is the Clue Master. Yeah, Batman finds him. He's in his mom's basement, isn't he?
Yeah,
that's the joke, right? Is that his lair is in his mom's basement?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. What'd you think, Brendan?
Sometimes when Batman the Animated Series did this as well. Like sometimes I'll take a story that's. I mean, this guy has some sort of comic history, but who knows Clue Master like. And they'll kind of do like their own thing, an original story. And, sometimes you get It's Never Too Late and sometimes you get Farmer Brown. This is kind of more the Farmer Brown scale of things. It's not great. It's not one that I'd revisit often unless, I'm like, Q&A, what's that one? And then I put it on in like 5 minutes. I was like, I remember this one. It's again, it's a fine little standalone thing, but not as good as some of the previous ones, which I know have been lukewarm. But yeah, see, for me, it's because I know what's coming, and I know how good this show gets that I kind of just like watch these ones and go, yeah, I know what it's building to, so I don't mind so much. Whereas people who don't know that, I can understand why this is a bit repetitive, like how Jamie was saying last week. Totally get it.
Brendan, some folks are losing their patience, and I'm not making it's all your fault.
But look, trust me, that's the reason why I wanted to do this, because like this show is so good. You just need to stick with it and give it some time, and you won't regret it when you do. Trust me. But yeah, unfortunately, we've got to sit through some average to a bit lower than average episodes to get there. And this is on the lower to average scale for me.
Yeah. I guess I appreciate doing something different. But I didn't really like it. I thought it was goofy. I don't know why he has an army of little people who wear sacks on their head. I don't know either.
And it would make more sense for him to have like supermodels or something, the ones who like present the prizes on game shows that are always stunning. Like it would make more sense to have something like that.
Yeah. I mean, like the setup of like, oh, this thing went bad 20 years ago and now he's bringing them back. I feel like I've seen that before. Isn't that kind of with the baby doll? Baby doll. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's it. But I was just like, I feel like I've seen this setup before, but I was not a big fan of this. I didn't love him as a villain. It's weird that we got to Clue Master before we got to the Riddler. That's an odd choice. And it was like they wanted to make a point about Bruce like not having a childhood, but they didn't really do anything with it. So I feel like even that was kind of pointless. Yeah, for me, this is a pretty low one. I'll tell you. I wouldn't say I hated it, but I also was like, oh, even though these are repetitive, this one I probably enjoyed the least.
Yeah, I'd watch it over Farmer Brown. I can tell you that.
Oh, maybe.
But yeah, I totally understand. Like I mean, I can give you a letter grade if you want it.
Go for it.
Probably a C minus.
Well, there you go. I'm gonna one up you, like you're Jamie. D plus.
D plus.
D plus. Yeah, this is not their best. So yeah, I don't know. Proceed with caution, or if you're completist, watch it. It's kind of a weird, random one. So try to enjoy it on that from that angle. But yeah, it's certainly not a hidden gem. I'll say that.
No.
The best thing about it is Glenn Shaddix. Or is it Shaddix? Shaddix. It's Otho. What am I worried about, Otho? You can't even change a tire. Anyway, that was Q&A. The next one up is the Big Dummy. So, man, if you love Clue Master, in comes the ventriloquist and Scarface.
From memory, ventriloquist and Scarface in this isn't a million miles away from Batman the Animated Series.
Well, we shall see, shan't we?
We shall.
We shall. My memory is the big change is they didn't give him a hat.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think he's bald.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Next one up,
the Big Dummy actually looks very similar from memory. It's just okay. A bit bulkier.
Well, great. That'll be for next time. Thanks for continuing to follow along with us on the Batman. If you're not enjoying it, please send all of those messages to Loey007 on Twitter. Loey007.
Trust me. It's not like I'm sitting out here, pretending that these episodes are something they aren't. Like I'm not giving everyone an A+. Like I'm being very realistic. But I know what's coming, and
it gets there.
It does.
Yeah.
And some.
All right. Cool. Well, then let's wrap up as we like to do and check in with you fine feathered finks and crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Darren. What is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. Says all Master Wayne.
Kind of like last week, not a ton of emails. Little quiet in the mailbox.
The news surprises me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I know that some of the bigger stuff is recent, but that usually doesn't stop people.
Yeah, that's okay. It'll come. First message here is from Ron Messberger. It says, "Hey, BatCast, I hope you're doing well. I love these episodes and the lists." Oh, and this is talking about the favorite DCEU moments. I love these episodes and the lists. I wanted to expound on one of my favorite scenes, especially because, as Jamie noted, it's controversial. Jonathan Kent's sacrifice. And I know a lot of people don't like it, but it spoke to me in a way I never expected. As fathers, we would do anything for our kids, including giving our own lives. Yes, Clark probably could have saved him and probably would have never been seen, but the fact that this dad didn't want to risk his child's life and gave everything to ensure that his future was incredibly powerful to me. Superman being the epitome of a moral compass speaks to the way his parents raised him, and I've always loved that about Superman. Thanks, Ron. I appreciate that. And that is fair enough. I've gone on record in the past where I like the intent of the scene more than I like the execution of the scene. And I think that's what it gets down to is you're really talking about that intent. And I think that intent is beautiful, is that Jonathan Kent is willing to give his life to protect his son. And that is a great moment for both of the characters.
This is another one when I was compiling my list that I did think about, because it hit me in the cinema. It hits me every time I watch it. To me, it's just a different spin on Jonathan having the heart attack. It goes to prove the point that for all his powers, Superman can't save everyone. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't mind the execution of it. Like, I love how Clark, you can see him go to move, and just the way Jonathan puts his hand up is like, no. Now is not the time. And he has to sit there and watch his dad die. knowing that he could save him, and that's heartbreaking. And yeah, I really like it, to be perfectly honest.
No, and that's totally fair. I see both sides, which is where I where I fall on it. I give it, I think, more credit than the people who don't like that scene for all the reasons that you and Ron brought up.
Yeah, to be honest, I like it more than the heart attack.
Well, I mean, and this this was the debate I had 10 years ago with the people who hated that scene, is Jonathan's heart attack in Superman the movie is a very intentional choice because it directly informs and sets up Superman's dilemma at the end of the movie when he can't save Lois. Jonathan sacrificing himself to protect his son's secret in the tornado is there to serve the story of that film, which is about Clark realizing and deciding when he wants to trust humanity. So Jonathan's death in both films is there to serve a story purpose for what stories those movies are telling.
Yes, that's very true.
Which is why I always got very frustrated when people were like, well, that's not how Jonathan Kent dies. He dies by a heart attack. And I'm like, no, he died in a heart attack. In that
always die.
and that's this. Sometimes Jonathan doesn't die.
And I really hope that James Gunn keeps him alive. I
agree. I agree with you.
I love that relationship.
Yeah. So anyway, that goes down a whole thing, but I remember having those debates in 2013. I think I have some friends who still haven't forgiven me.
Holy shit. I just realized, 10 years. We've never done a commentary for Man of Steel, have we?
We have. We did a 5-year commentary. Yeah.
Did we? Oh, wow.
We did. Maybe you didn't. Maybe it was me and Jamie.
I don't know. I'll have to check.
I'll have to go back and check, but I remember doing a 5-year commentary, but maybe it was just me and Jamie. Oh, and for the for the listener who emailed us last week, we'd never done a commentary for Batman Begins either. Brendan confirmed.
Yeah, I didn't think we had.
I couldn't remember, but if you don't remember either, then I think we're safe. All right, next message is from our favorite Ginger, Tim Rooney. It says, hey, Holy BatCasters. As with most days, today I was thinking about Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy and his involvement with the DC films. What if he was more of a taste tester, or what if he was more of a taste tester and more hands-on as a producer for those films going forward? I know he was initially hesitant about the ending of Man of Steel with Superman killing Zod, but he eventually relented to Snyder's decision. Do you think the DC films would have been more palatable to the general audience if he had had more say on movies like BVS and Suicide Squad? Apologize if this has been asked before. Thanks for reading. Have a great day. Thanks, Tim. It's a very cromulent question. Brendan. It has been asked, but I feel like it's been a while.
Who was the Brendan, person who had the impact, sorry? Who had
Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan, that's right. Yep.
So basically he's saying, Christopher Nolan was sort of a godfather during Man of Steel, but it sounds like he didn't get too involved. And then post Man of Steel, it sounds like he wasn't involved at all.
No.
Tim is asking, what if he was? What if he was doing a little more of the creative guidance? Do you think the movies would have worked better for the general audience?
Maybe, because those movies seem to be very universally praised. Even though like Rises has kind of fallen out of favor a bit over the last 10 or 11 years. Yeah, well, it's hard to say, but maybe. But in saying that too, if he was godfathering, like, Snyder still got his way with the neck-breaking scene and everything. So, and again, I think that scene works really well too. I've never had a problem with it because I understand what that represents.
Well, that's Tim's question is what if Nolan had his way and they nixed the neck snap?
What would you have done then? He's just in prison?
There are options. I will answer bluntly. Would these movies have worked better with the general audience? Yes. If Christopher Nolan had had more of a creative say in the DC films, especially Man of Steel and BVS, do I think they would have been better received? Yes, I do. Because his Batman movies, even The Dark Knight Rises, which I know amongst fans feels a little more divisive, it got great reviews. It made a shitload of money. It made, so like it didn't matter. Like his Batman films were so well received, whether or not they're your favorite, they resonated with the general audience. And so I think that, yeah, he probably had some ideas and story input that he could have given that would have sanded off the edges of some of Snyder's more controversial decisions.
Yeah. That's true. The more that I think about it.
And the next snap's a perfect example. I have no issue with it. I applauded in the theater on opening day. I have no issue with it. Do a lot of people? Yes. So if no one had gotten his way, that's one less controversial decision made in that movie.
Yeah.
So
we're getting Zod back. So
I know.
excited.
I know.
He still is my favorite villain in the DC movies. He's fantastic.
Yeah. All right. One last one here. It's from Robert Reinecke, but it's a biggie. Curious to hear what your thoughts are. He says, with Shazam Fury of the Gods looking to open at an underwhelming 30 million or so, and Quantum Mania failing to double its opening weekend at the domestic box office and is looking to do less worldwide than the first Ant-Man, is it time to ask if there's a bigger trend at play, or is it just a cluster of random data points? Spider-Man No Way Home shows that people will still come out to big superhero movies, with the Batman and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness also doing very well. But since then, Thor Love and Thunder was certainly viewed as a disappointment. Black Panther Wakanda Forever did well, but nowhere near as well as its predecessor, although there are certainly extenuating circumstances. Quantum Mania looks like a money loser, and Shazam 2 certainly looks like an uphill battle to break even. Is it the individual films, a lack of interest in Marvel's multiverse saga, the lame duck status of the DC films, or have audience tastes shifted? There certainly have been a series of non-superhero films that have overperformed at the box office lately, with John Wick 4 looking to do the same. So has some sense of balance been reestablished? Has the look of superhero films become stale? Did something like Everything Everywhere All at Once kind of steal the multiverse's thunder on film? Has It's All Connected become It's All Too Much? I know this is kind of a show in and of itself, but I'm sure that you and your listeners have thoughts. Thanks, Robert. Thank you, Robert. And you're right. I feel like that could be a whole episode, the state of superhero cinema. I think you make a lot of valid points in your question. Especially when you said, is it the individual movies? Is it the lack of interest in the multiverse saga? Is it the DC lame duck status? Or have audience taste shifted? I think it's a little bit of all of those things.
I was going to say, it could be a little bit of all, yeah.
I think your greater point of, I don't think you used it in this email, but, superhero fatigue, I feel like is a theme here. Do I think that's real? I do, to an extent. I think that because we get a new one every couple months, it's not enough to just be the next superhero movie. You need a reason to get people to go, that is a theater trip. I can't miss that. And I think that's what Quantum Mania and Shazam 2 failed to do. However you feel about those movies. I haven't even seen Shazam 2 yet, so I can't even speak to the movie itself, but I don't think that either of those movies made themselves a must-see, whereas something like No Way Home, you're right, absolutely was. And so I think superhero movies are enough to get someone's interest, but you need to have added value to make someone go, well, that's worth a night out, and that one's worth waiting for till it comes to streaming or whatever. Brendan, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think everything you said is correct, and I do think it could be a bit of everything. He did make a comment there towards the end, is it's all connected, translating to it's all too much. For me with Marvel, yes. I used to go and see all the Marvel movies. Then I kind of not lost interest isn't the right term, but it all became a bit too much. And now with the TV shows and everything, like, yeah, I mean, the last Marvel movie I watched was Spider-Man, and that was, honestly, it was only because of the attraction of having all three together. I think the pandemic still has a lot to do with Well, I mean, the way things are at the moment, we're getting like March was stacked. When is like the last time a March was this full of like every single week there's a big movie coming out? Like I
I know,
think there's a lot
especially
of,
because January and February were dead.
yeah, like it's
All they
bizarre.
had was Quantumania in the past 2 months.
And that's the thing with Quantumania too. Like Ant-Man 2 didn't have a good reputation. Like I thoroughly enjoyed the first Ant-Man movie. I didn't get to see the second one at the cinema for whatever reason at the time, but everyone told me not to bother because it's terrible. So why would I then want to go and see Ant-Man 3 if the sequel was terrible? Why would I want to see the third part of the trilogy? That's how I feel about that. Shazam.
Well, and I will also say, I feel like the marketing for Quantumania is also very revealing because they weren't even selling it as Ant-Man 3. They were selling it as Quantumania, and they were selling it as oh, it's the first chapter of the next phase of Marvel. Get to know Kang. Oh, and by the way, Ant-Man's in this too. That's how it was sold. And so, like, even they knew that Ant-Man 3 wasn't a draw. They were selling Kang. They were selling.
See, I don't know Kang from Krang from the Turtles. Like, and I'd rather see an Ant-Man movie than a villain that I don't know about. Like,
well, but I'm just saying is like even they weren't, they were trying to spin it as like an MCU film versus an Ant-Man movie.
Yeah,
because for all the reasons we're saying is they were trying to make it a must see. And I think it worked for opening weekend, and then the word of mouth has not been good.
And then even selling it as a Marvel Universe movie, even that's not really enough now because, like you said, Thor didn't do well. Black Panther didn't do as well as they were expecting it to. But yeah, in sort of, and that the other thing too, like the business has changed too since 3 or 4 years ago, or even back when the first Shazam came out, which I'll come to. If I wanted to see Ant-Man or Thor or whatever, not that I do want to see either of them, I know that I only have to wait, 8 weeks, something like that, and it's on Disney Plus, which I'm already paying for, and I can watch it at home. That didn't happen with those Marvel movies, only, like I said, 3 or 4 years ago, pre-pandemic.
Yeah. And that's not true just for Marvel. That's just true for movies.
Most movies, yeah, exactly right.
And that's and I think that's exactly it. Is that we've learned. Oh, I can wait. I can wait 6 weeks. I can wait 8 weeks.
And
I can
even
wait whatever.
taking the streaming out of the equation, I can wait. If I do still want to pay for it, I can wait half that time and just get it on digital.
Oh, I can go downstairs right now and watch Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
Didn't that just come out?
Like a couple of weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah. It's on iTunes right now.
So, that changes the game. When it comes to Shazam, I don't feel... I mean, I haven't seen the presence just around town of like billboards on buses, and I don't watch free-to-air TV, so I don't know about TV spots, but there felt like there was a real buzz for that first Shazam movie. There hasn't felt that. I mean, I felt it personally because it was a sequel to a movie that I really liked. The other thing with Shazam, and I talk about it being a stacked March, Scream 6 came out a week ago. It had incredible buzz, really good word of mouth, and people seem to show up for it. John Wick, for better or worse, it's a big franchise now, and people are going to show up for it. And Shazam is literally wedged right in between those two movies. Like, I know with the first Shazam, people say it came out between Captain Marvel and Endgame. Not 1 week after another, it didn't. It had some time at the box office on its own. Like, I could be wrong, but I don't recall there being sort of one big movie out around that time so close, let alone it being wedged in between two. And then following on from Creed the week before, like, it's in a really, really hard position to try and, and people are picking and choosing for the reason we were talking about before with the streaming and the available to rent digitally and stuff so soon now. Like, you don't need to go to the movies because you know it's not going to be 4 or 5 months before you get a chance to see this again. You can see it in a month or two. So yeah, it's tricky. I don't know if moving forward, average box office is going. I mean, not that it did anyway, but even more so. An average box office isn't necessarily going to translate to a movie being bad, because lots of good movies aren't making money now, but they're finding a home on streaming. Batman Begins did the same thing. What was it, 15 years ago? It did okay at the cinema, but it found its market on DVD. Man, we couldn't keep that thing on the shelf with the store I worked at when it came out for months. People wanted to see that Batman movie. They didn't see it in the cinema, but it found its home elsewhere. And the world is changing so much when it comes to how we access our movies. And yeah, I think it's all playing part in it. And do I think Shazam's going to make a buttload of money? I don't, sadly. But hey, it only had $100 million budget, so it's probably going to be okay.
And the problem with that is that has now been the narrative over the past week or two when the tracking came out. And because of that, it starts becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. Before it's even released, there are articles being written about how it's underperforming, and it hasn't even come out yet. And then it dissuades even more people from bothering.
Because that translates to them, it must be bad. It's like, well, no, it's not. Like, did you like the first one? I guarantee you're going to like this one.
But I do think, Shazam, there are a number of issues at play. It's been 4 years since the first movie. That's a rough amount of time because it's been a long time. It's not fresh in people's minds. To your point, I feel like the marketing was bare minimum. And so I do think there was a certain mindset at WB of it was sort of a sacrificial lamb where they're like, well, we'll do the bare minimum promotion. We'll release it and hopefully enough people will go. It'll turn a small profit. But I feel like they almost gave up on it before it started. And
remind me, was it supposed to come out late last year?
It's supposed to come out Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to come out for Christmas.
Like, I know Avatar obviously made all the money, but
they moved it out of Avatar back into March.
It almost would have been counter-programming to Avatar.
It could have been, but
it might have worked. Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, even the trailers, which I really liked, again, it didn't have that, oh, you can't miss this. It was like, oh, it's a sequel to the first one. It looks like a fun superhero movie. And is that enough to get butts and seats now? I don't know. So
I wonder if it had come out in January. Because, I mean, Megan was a good movie, but I think the reason why Megan did so well is because it was that or Avatar.
Yeah.
And everyone was going to see Megan because they either A, didn't want to see Avatar or had already seen it. If you'd given them a third option, maybe Shazam could have done pretty well if they just released it in January. I think releasing it when they have, I mean, who knew Scream 6 was going to be so damn popular? I mean, I love that franchise, don't get me wrong, but Scream 5 that came out last year didn't have near the buzz that this thing has. It kind of came out quietly and then hit streaming shortly after.
Mm-hmm.
And it's doing big money. So, yeah.
So anyway, I don't know if that's a clear answer to the question, but I think that to your point, there are a lot of mitigating factors. I think there is something of a superhero fatigue, but I wouldn't call it a true superhero fatigue where people are just over superheroes. But I think that it's a great, another superhero movie. Why is this the one that I need to go see? Because I know there's about to be another one. But then, the changing landscape of how we see our movies, the lack of marketing, again, all the things we just talked about. There are a lot of reasons. I do think though that, I'm so disappointed that Shazam is underperforming. I think that's a real bummer. And it really does, I think, speak to, even though there are many factors, it does speak to what you called the lame duck status of the DC films. And that's what a lot of folks said when they announced the new slate of being like, I know you're included in a lot of people. A lot of people said that. And I still, being the optimistic idiot that I am, hoped that if the movie looks good, people will go. But I do think there's a narrative out there. And I think there's a reality to it of, well, why bother? I'll see it for free later or whatever, because knowing that some semblance of a reboot is coming. So
I will say, and I don't think it's a spoiler, I don't remotely feel that way about Fury of the Gods as a movie at all. The why bother status. The credit sequences I do. I'm kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't see what the point is with that, but who knows?
Well, and James Gunn tried to mitigate that by going, yeah, Shazam, the movie's great and there's no reason it can't continue. So he tried, but people aren't buying it. And that's fair enough,
Yeah, that did leave me a bit.
So I do think it's a bit of a cautionary tale for the next 3 movies. I'm not worried about the Flash because, as we said, the Flash.
I was just about to say,
like,
I think the Flash is going to be the game changer.
Yeah, it feels like an event. People are talking about it. There is a shitload of buzz, a crazy amount of buzz, and that is great news. I'm concerned about Blue Beetle. I hope it's great, and I hope that they can sell it. And then Aquaman.
I keep forgetting about Blue Beetle. For me, it's Flash.
Well, it's because we haven't seen anything
yet. It's Shazam, Flash, and Aquaman. But even then, I just forget that it's coming out.
Yeah, and then Aquaman, I still have high hopes for because of how much I love the first one and James Wan. But
see, that's how I felt about Shazam, and I know you feel the same. Like, you love the first one, you love the creative team; they're all coming back. Why would you not like this one?
Well, I'm not worried about liking the movie. I'm worried about enough people wanting to go see the movie.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the Flash 2 is potentially going to be the DC. I mean, I know the Flash was written first and everything, but like sort of the far from the No Way Home effect.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Keaton's back. Like in the way that, oh my God, Maguire's back. Like, but to me, even more so with Keaton because it's been much longer. And hell, he's the guy that started this whole trend in 1989. Like, yeah. So I think Flash is going to be fine.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Well, thank you guys. If you got something for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can send that to Holy BatCast at rf4rm.com. We're going to wrap up this episode. Brendan, thanks for hanging out tonight or for you this morning.
No, I was going to say, I don't know if we answered that question, but it certainly sparked a really good conversation.
We kind of did, but I mean, I think that there's no easy answer.
No, but
it's all of the above and more.
I thought it was good. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's fun to kick around and play armchair quarterback. Is that a thing? That's right? No, it's Monday. It's Monday morning quarterback, right?
I don't follow NFL.
Oh my God, this is why we need Jamie. Anyway, it's fun to kick around and try to read the tea leaves. But man, what do they say about Hollywood? Nobody knows nothing.
Correct.
So anyway, Brendan,
we're living in a world where Short Round and George of the Jungle won Best Supporting and Best Actor. Like nothing's off the cards anymore. Like anything is possible. Let's be completely honest.
This is true. Anyway, so thanks for joining and great to chat and tell our friends where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Lowy007 or on Facebook in the Real Fans groups.
Awesome. I already told you guys where to find me, but thanks as always for joining us. Thanks for downloading the show. Please do follow or subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We would appreciate that. Again, if you've got something for the Wayne Manor mailbox, that's Holy BatCast at rf4rm.com. And then find Holy BatCast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. Our theme music was created by Gaurav Venkateswar. You can find his work at gvtunes.com. And don't forget to check out our sponsors at Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, do a little shopping, and use that promo code BATSCAPED for 20% off and free shipping. That'll do it. Next time, we'll be back to talk Shazam. I can't wait, so stay tuned. We'll be back. But in the meantime, thanks for joining. Have a great couple of days, and we'll see you soon. Same bat time, same bat channel. Holy BatCast is not affiliated with Warner Brothers or DC Entertainment. The views and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for. He said, oh my God, this is what I get for pulling out not the real article and like a summary article because they don't pull the right quotes. I can't trust anyone anymore. So hang tight, talk amongst yourselves. I will find it so I do not want to put words in his mouth.
Lots of people are.
Well, I don't want to be one of
Yeah.
those people.